Alright guys, we are at the 30 by 36 with 10-foot lean-to. It's going to be an animal barn, tractor storage. Just a small little homestead building. It's going to be really cool. I got all of our materials kind of spread out and put into different piles. I have the whole build site all graded off now, so we are ready to start laying out posts. So I'm going to get all the posts laid out where they go, and then we'll start framing some walls. I didn't hit record when I was laying out all these posts, but I got them all laid out. There's extra ones in here because there's going to be 4-foot sliding doors that go out underneath the lean-to. So I've checked square again, and we are, I mean, it's like within a 16th, so this is pretty good. I'm pretty pumped up about the layout here. So as I showed you guys before, I strike marks in the concrete where the edge of my posts need to be, and this is where it comes in handy, as long as everything's still square, which it is. So this is a sidewall, so every other post will carry a truss, and then that's a sidewall, and every one of those will carry a truss. So you can see I can line this post up right here on this corner. I can come to the post at the door opening, line it up here, and then I can just pull a tape off the edge of this column to each one to square it, and I can do it from both ends so that I can double check myself. And this is just a little bit better method for me because it seems to be really windy all the time here. I don't know why. And string lines move, and if you get off your string lines, your posts are going to be off. So this concrete isn't going to move, so I can line my end columns up with that line and pull tapes off them. I just feel like it's a more accurate, more efficient way to do it for me. So alright, so this footing right here was the highest, so I zeroed my laser level out on this one. Now that I've found that, I'm going to go around and mark all the other posts accordingly of how high I'm going to have to bring them up. They all should go up because that was the highest one. So you can see this one needs to come up a 1/2 inch. So before I'll start my measurements, a 1/2 inch up from the bottom. Got all the laminated columns ready. There's 5 that, well, there's only 3 that I had to cut the middle out for the truss to sit in. The reason there's another one here is because we have 4-foot sliders every like 9 feet. So we're ready to start framing these walls. Tried something new this time. I'm always trying to evolve, being that I'm working by myself. It takes a lot of time to stand these walls, so I decided instead of leaving my corner posts out to attach them. So that's one thing I added. So I built a whole entire wall, including the corner posts. And then I also added my angle bracing on the ground. And so what I did is I got the wall all squared up, and then I laid my 2x6s where they were called to go, and cut the angles and attached them. And I stood this whole wall up as one, and it's perfectly square. So I'm pretty stoked that worked. Now this is 36-foot wall, so it's not huge, but I think you could do this on a longer wall, probably up to 48 feet. What I did is I attached a 2x6 across the top of the post to kind of stiffen it, and that worked like a charm. So now we have this wall here, which has double the posts, because there are 4-foot sliders in each section. So we have a 9-foot section with a 4-foot slider, another 9-foot section with a 4-foot slider, another section with a 4-foot slider, and then we have a section down here with a window. All right, so when this wall stood up, it'll be underneath the lean-to, and so these two 2x6s will get cut out right here. And so what I'm doing is I'm trying to do as much framing on the ground as I can. So I have a 2x12 track support board that goes all the way down where these 3 doors are. Then over the door opening it's a 4x7, so I got a 4-foot 2x6 that goes to the center of the column, to the center of this column, and then the track will extend, and you use a 2x4 out here where it'll extend. That way the track can be attached here, but then I can still get metal right here. So this whole wall is framed up, and I'm hoping I can lift it all in one because it's all nailed together with a whole lot of 30D nails. So I'm going to drill these 2 end brackets so they're ready, get all my bolts laid out, and then we're going to hook the skid steer up and see if we can't get this thing stood up. Oh, and I did cut these brackets off, and this is the grade right here. So I figured I'd cut it off right there. That way I can get 1 bolt in through bolt through the bottom, and then, you know, they can bring gravel or, you know, lime or whatever it is they want to bring, concrete. If they want to put 4 inches of concrete in this ever, that's can be their grade. So got that all squared away. Well, that was a little more exciting than I was hoping for, but that was completely my fault. I was lifting this wall, and I had this 9-foot section here, and I knew I should have ran a 2x6 like I did right there to that end. I did that over here, and I didn't have a problem. And when I was lifting it, I bumped the joystick, and just that little jerk was enough to break that 2x6 loose. So worst case scenario is I'm eating a couple 8-foot 2x6s, which at the end of the day, that ain't too bad. Could have been a lot worse. So I'll put that corner post up tomorrow and put my other boards back up, and we should be good to go. But always exciting around here. But that's how you learn. That's how you know what you can do, what you can't do. It is what it is. All right, good morning. I don't know, it's about 10:30. Got out here to the job site. I had to do some stuff this morning. Now I use these 11,000 pound 2-inch toe straps for all my bracing, for squaring, but there are times when they just aren't enough, and this is one of those times because I have a 2x12 header that goes the whole length of this, and they're just not strong enough. There's too much stretch in them for it to work for a wall like this. So I got a chain right here from the top down to the bottom here, and I use that just to tighten up a little bit to get my wall perfectly plumb. Now that I have that, I am confident I can get that last column up and all the 2x6s, and this will be exact dimension I want it. So we're gonna go ahead and get going on that. So it was a little bit of a bummer yesterday, but it's one of those things, guys, where you get to learn from my mistakes, you know, what your limits are and stuff like that. And I knew better. I knew I should have put a brace across the top. It worked perfectly for that wall over there, and I thought it'd been all right, and it would have been all right if I wouldn't have jerked the skid steer, but hindsight's 20/20. All right, well, we have our door opening framed up, and I don't know if you guys have been whoever's been paying attention. I'm building a 30x40 garage, and on my end walls I tried something different, and instead of framing them on the inside, which I could have done this one on the inside because I'm not putting any of the girts on the side, but I'm just gonna continue to do it like this, I think. I don't know, I might change my mind, but this is working out really well. So that's actually the top there, and then this will be the bottom. So when I lift it, I'll lift it up, carry it in, set it down. This one, and this one, those are just temporary bracing for my opening to keep this from moving. I got my 2x12 header attached with my track, my 2x6 track backer board, support board. And then off of here will be a 2x12 that spans across to this sidewall and then over to the rafter of the overhang. And then I have a 10-footer that will go from there, from that header over to that corner post. I've got all of my 2x6 girts cut. I put screws in here just so I can set it on this end and attach it over here. So that screw kind of acts as an extra person for me. I did the same thing over here. I got it all marked out with screws in place. And how I line this up is, so I measured from the corner post to here to find out where this post needed to be. And if you guys remember, I know I've talked about this a couple times, I started marking the edge of my posts when my concrete's wet. So I get my string lines are all square, and then I mark the edge of my post. So, you know, the girt is actually out 1.5 inches, but I mark the edge in the concrete. Then I can pull all my string lines and I don't have to mess with them, and I measure off all of these marks on the concrete. And I've done that for the last 2, and it's worked out really well. What I do is I put the top of where the bottom of the truss is going to be, I extend that line down, and I just line it up here with this line, and I do that on both of them. Then I know I'm equal distance out. and then I square each pole off the corner. All right, we are all ready for trusses. Both side walls are done. I got the one end wall done, so we'll put the end truss up, and then we'll bring the other trusses in from here. That line has to come down for me to do that. All right, we're back out at this 30 by 36, and I have 2 people with me today, which is unusual for me, which I'm pretty pumped. I got Jake and Justin here. They're gonna be part of the crew. You're gonna see them around, but we're gonna be doing trusses today. The holdup was we had a line going through here, power line, that we had to wait to remove. So it's been a few weeks since I've been here. So we're gonna be back on this until we're done. And the first step is to get our first truss up, so that's what we're doing right now. All right, Jake, now let's just kind of grab that one. Just kind of lift this up pretty light and then hook it. We need to go this way. Can you get under there?
Yep.
Okay. Now we should be fine. These should be plenty out of the way. So I'm gonna lift this up. You'll just have to grab the end of the truss and we're gonna drive it around. This side will go up against the building. What the heck's going on? Already have a problem. It won't let me take it out of park. Never had this happen before. All right, we're back in business. This is how a one-man show gets his trusses up. That way it won't come out of this pocket. All right, now I'll drive into you, and then you just gotta tell me whether I gotta lift or what. You got a tape measure on you, Jake?
Do you want this to stick out? This is longer?
Yeah, that 1.5 inches.
Okay, we're about 1.8 inches.
All right. Good right there?
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna hammer a nail in here.
Okay.
So it doesn't move. All right, I'm gonna move this strap to there, and then we can take those little brackets off.
Okay.
And nail it. Putting that strap, then it won't fall there. One nail in it, and then we'll just use the skid steer for the rest of them. So we'll do like 1, 2, 3, 4. You guys are like all kinds of new muscles over the next couple days. Yeah, so that's it. And then we'll nail it through each of those. All right, guys, Jake's up there nailing off that first truss. Justin and I are gonna mark out the purlins, and I like to drill my purlins on the ground. So we have 14 for this first section. We got them all laid out, kind of grouped together. Now we're gonna get our measurement. And what you do is you take that measurement from the top of your poles. You can take it from the bottom, but if that pole's crooked at all or not perfect, which lumber's not perfect, you could be off. So I'll climb up, get my measurement from the pole, or basically the center of the first truss to where the center of the second truss is gonna be, and then I can mark all those purlins at the same time. 108.5. So my first measurement's 108.5. I'm gonna write that down because I'm gonna forget it. $216.5. Now, another thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take these same measurements from the opposite side, because there is a chance that I could be off a ½ inch or whatever. So I'll do the same thing on the other side just to see where I'm at. With this type of roof with purlins, that sit on top of the trusses, we're gonna be able to establish our overhang with these. This is a 1 foot overhang. So the first measurement I'm gonna make is 10.5 inches. Only 10.5 because when I put my fascia board up, that's an extra 1.5 inches, which gives me my 12 inches. So by lining my boards up here, I can just, in all reality, I can just measure off of this 12 inches for my overhang. So we got 12. 12. Now that mark right there is going to be the edge of the truss. So once we get all these marked out, the holes pre-drilled for the purlin nails, I'll use my square and make a line down so it's easier for us to line them up. That's the edge, 3/4. So this mark is 3/4 inches over, and that's where I'll actually drill my holes. So it'll be in the center of the truss. So I'll drill a hole in the center of each at that X. All right, now it was 108.5, and then the other side was 107 3/4, so we're 3/4 off, so we'll split the difference. We'll just go 108. So if my measurement is off at all from side to side, as long as it's less than 1 inch, which could easily be the case because these poles aren't always like perfectly straight, we'll just split the difference and make the mark for all of the purlins there. So I gotta add, what's 108 and 12, Justin? 120?
Sounds good.
So 120. And what was my next one? 216.5. And I was 216, so we'll do 216.25. All right, now we gotta get the drill and drill them. All right, so we're gonna mark out the trusses. In our ridge cap, it's a universal ridge cap. It's a universal ridge cap, and it calls for the purlin to be 8 inches down from the peak. So you just have to figure out what kind of cap you're using, and you wanna verify this because if you mess this up, you're not gonna be able to screw your ridge cap into framing, and it's just gonna go through the metal, which you don't want. So we're 8 inches. I know it has to be on top of that 8-inch mark. We had a piece of ridge cap here, so we just verified it to make sure. Now we're gonna pull 2 foot on center all the way down to the end of our trusses. So Jake, if you wanna go that way, you can. So I'm gonna go 2/8. And actually on these, wait, no, this is still our same core, one on top. 4/8. 6/8. 8, 10/8, 12/8, 4/8. All right, now let's put this one up. All right, guys, so we're setting purlins right now. Jake's lining his line up with the end of the truss, and then I will line mine up in the center of this truss. And if we need to, we can use this ratchet to pull the truss whichever way we need. All right, you good?
Yep.
All right, so I line up good here, so I can go ahead and nail it. So if I move this column, you can see I have my mark here from when I originally got done pouring these. I need to go up 11/16. And we'll do a more in-depth video on a template or storyboard. So I know I need to start my storyboard at 11/16 up from the bottom. So 8, 9, 10, 11. So that, essentially that footing sits 11/16 lower than the footing I'm using for our baseline.
Yep.
So I know that I got to raise that essentially 11/16, but I do that, I just add 11/16 to the bottom of our post, and then that's where we start our measurements, and then everything will be perfectly level. This one right there. Oh, right here. Use the other marker. That one goes to the other side, goes on the side. You got a mark? Okay. Now, I'll set this on the other side. All right, so now we need to make sure these are square. Hook it on there. We got 148 and 3/8. And then let's measure, well, since I have somebody to hold this, hold it right on that mark, which should be 10'4". Okay. So we have these two measurements. This should be 10'4" too, which it is. So essentially, we have these two measurements. We have a measurement from here to there and a measurement from here to there. Now we can find the diagonal. So we can find that and then move those accordingly, and then it's square. There, Jake?
Yep.
The corner of the tape right there. 16, 1, and 3/8. It should be right in the center, Jake, of your, roughly, of the column. It's pretty close to center. Well, this is probably a little bit longer than 12 feet. I should probably measure that. They always come a little bit longer. The reason I'm cutting this down to 12 is because this is going to hold our sliding door. And it's a 12-foot sliding door, so it's 6 foot. It's a split door, so 6 foot will go each way. And in order to make it easier to nail my, I guess it's called the support board, I want this right at 12 feet, because then I know when I put my 2x6 on here to make it exactly 12 feet, and then a 2x4 will go 6 feet out from there. It'll make more sense when we do it. Because I can climb up and unhook this pretty easily.
Yep.
Lift this completely off the ground and just kind of bring it in, and then kind of, you know, that's going to be the bottom. Yep. So those will just fit right inside there, right? And then I'll get it set down on the ground where this is kind of holding it, but we can still move it, and then we'll do all that.
Okay.
You just got to make sure it's below the, just below. That's it. Right there. Ratchet strap makes life easy. All right guys, that's gonna be a wrap for the post layout and framing of the main structure. We got all the columns up, all the girts on, trusses, purlins, and we really appreciate you guys watching. If you have any questions or anything you want to specifically see, go ahead and leave that in the comments and we'll do our best to show that. The next video after this, we'll be adding on the lean-to, and then we will get into adding doors and windows and the steel, sliders, all that good stuff. So as always, we appreciate you watching. If you haven't already, hit the subscribe button and we will catch you on the next video.